I go by the name of Joffey Joe, and this is my show. Call it how I see it. And on today's episode, I got a couple of things I want to talk to y'all about. But on today's episode, I got my buddies with me, and I'm gonna let them all get a window of time where they can just say what they want and call things how they see it. Yes. So today's gonna be a special episode. So buckle up. What up, world? I got my buddy Glenn Pratt with me, a good friend of mine who I work with, and we're here. We're gonna talk about some sports. First topic we're gonna talk about is, some childhood expectations put on certain athletes, specifically Bronny James. So what up, G? What do you think about Bronny, man?
Ronnie's under a lot of pressure. Let me tell you something. Your last name is James and you play basketball. Pressure's immense.
A huge
and
immense.
I mean, him alone, his father's presence alone is going to put the pressure on. And then to think that you have to go out there and perform too, I mean, I just think he's going to be under. And with the numbers, like you said, struggling, I mean, is he really a player? I mean, I'm curious to see where it goes forward. I mean, I'm looking at him as to say he's just a guy. I mean, I'm a hard critic.
Yes.
I mean, it takes a lot to impress me. So, what I've seen, I haven't watched him live. Looking at a stat line, you can only get so much.
Right.
So,
I mean, he's
the eye test for me is the difference.
I agree 1,000% with what you said. I mean, like, if you look at his stat line, he's got like 5.9 points, like 2.4 assists, like 2.6 rebounds or something. Like, there's so much like pressure. I mean, he is coming off the hard issue, so like, I guess, and it's still his freshman year. I mean, I think I don't follow USC basketball like that, but like from what I was looking at, I know they got a freshman point guard that he's familiar with. He handles the ball most of the time, but like you said, man, there's a lot of pressure. But also with that pressure, I mean, like, he's also got these NIL money, man. He's got like $7 million right now, and like, he's got to deal with Nike and shit. So like, marketing wise, he's there. Like, I guess, like, because of the name, like you're saying,
the name carries the weight, but does he have the goods? That's what the bottom line. Does he have the goods? It's one thing to have the name, and that's going to get him to a certain level. But does he have the goods to play? I mean, his father has talked about playing with him in the league, and I'm just thinking, what are the critics saying? What are they really saying? I mean, I guess no one wants to offend LeBron.
Right.
So I guess they're probably walking on eggshells when it comes to their criticism of him.
Right.
But at the same token, does he have the goods, Joe? I mean, that's the bottom line.
If you can have everything all together, and if you don't have the goods, it don't matter, bro. It really don't.
It doesn't.
But like,
so I just think the name's only going to take him so far.
I agree. So I mean, like, I was looking at some draft like capital and stuff. Like, there even some experts now are trying to like project him not to get drafted, which like,
How do you argue that?
I mean those numbers.
I looked up his stats too, Joe. Like you said, 5 points a game his last few. They listed his last 5 games of what I could see.
Yeah.
So I went to reference, and I just didn't see anything that popped off the page to me. So to believe that he in any way, shape, or form can go from 1 year of college right to the next level, find it hard to believe.
I think he was pampered like most of the time playing with Sierra Canyon, and just like he never like, even like back when we were like watching his highlight tapes in high school, like there wasn't anything that really like popped out or wowed us. Like, I think he made the McDonald's All-Star game by default, kind of just because of the name, but the name sells. And I think like a team like, I don't know, if you're like the Grizzlies or some team out there, like, maybe bring this along, maybe get some attention and put some people in the stands a little bit for a little bit, and then, but like overall, if you ain't got the goods, you can't show out, bro. You just be riding the bench, bro, with your nice ass clothes and shit.
Dude, 10th, 11th guy. But then again, can LeBron take that? How much of that will affect LeBron? Because it's funny you say that about Bronny. I mean, at one point in time, hopefully we get to talk about another younger, but Tiger Woods' son. I mean, the pressure is going to be immense for these guys once they start to get into the sports their father played.
I agree 1,000%. I mean, we run back like with Jordan's kids. Like, his one kid at Illinois, he was all right, and then the other one like went to Central Florida and did absolutely nothing, and now he's married Larsa Pippen like a clown. Like, I don't. It's just, I don't know. There's a lot of pressure, and a lot of these kids can't, withstand that pressure. I mean, there is, those that do make it, but like overall, it's just, I don't like his
I mean,
odds, bro. I don't like his odds. I don't
when
think
you
he's a
talk
lottery pick.
about the status of which his father is, I mean, can he be a middle of the road? I mean, where can he be and still he has that name on the back, and it's going to be interesting to see how they go forward. The whole camp, his father going for. Because if you're saying he's talking to scouts, or you've heard from scouts that he could not get drafted, what kind of blow is that to LeBron? I mean, will they draft him just because of the name? I mean, like you said, the name's going to take him so far. But can he play? I mean, can he play?
Yeah,
That's going
exactly.
to be the bottom line to me.
I agree, especially if you got a coach that needs the results and his job's on the line. He's gonna put his neck out on the line for that. You know what I mean?
Talking to a gentleman the other day, he was talking about they're thinking about firing the USC coach. I didn't. This was through the rumor mill, but I'm thinking, what kind of pressure is he on
Exactly.
to make sure LeBron's kid shines? I mean,
Gets on the court and stuff. There's other pressures that get put on. It's just like I don't even know. It's just like a big weight put on someone's shoulders. They're like, you gotta do something, make it work.
right.
So
I got LeBron's kid on my roster. What do I do? I mean, he's under a lot of pressure. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
I agree. I agree 1,000%. But time will tell. So we'll leave it at that for right now. And I'm back. And then I got my buddy. I got my best friend with me. And we're gonna get into talking about childhood expectations. Yep, that's right. Not every childhood superstar that comes from a child can handle these type of expectations that fall upon them. Some can do it, some can't. Our question revolving this one, as I talked about on another take, is Bronny James. So, Mr. Brandon Beretta, what do you think about Bronny James, and what do you think is expected of Mr. James?
I believe uh, he's got potential to play in the NBA, right?
Right.
To be a superstar though, it's gonna be you can't right? Like that's not he's a college one player playing in the Pac-12, right? And it had a substantial grown man injury in like his sophomore junior year of high school.
Yes.
Right? And no one is really giving him the credit. Like, literally played basketball the next season. The injury is like something that like gay guys never come back from.
Right.
So you
Look at
gotta
Chris
let the
Bosh.
kid develop a little.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not right at all.
Yes, I agree. I think you bring up a big point. Like Chris Bosh couldn't come back from this. Shaquille O'Neal's son couldn't come back from his heart injury. So that's definitely a big thing. I think when it comes down to him, and I was talking to my friend Glenn about earlier, I mean, he's got the name, right? He's got the name. He's got the marketing. He's already got like $7 million in endorsement deals through NIL and all this shit, right? But would it be like so bad for him to just like, like according to some draft capital stocks, they have him as an undrafted free agent. I mean, going undrafted in this draft. But like, is it so far fetched for him to just stay in school, like just to collect more money? He'll probably end up getting more money than any salary he'll get in the NBA. Just like have him develop because he's playing with other kids now, and it's not he's kind of the sixth man, odd man out right now.
I think that most of these college kids need to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even with these endorsements and incentives, everything, it's more tailored for them to stay around.
The reason why college basketball used to be so good is because you literally watch 5-star recruits punch each other in the mouth for 3 to 4 years straight.
Yes.
The same 3 to 4 years straight and just like 10 team.
Right.
Or they're trying to fight for friends, you know what I mean? Or they're fighting in Martinez, and like these kids, like they need this opportunity with the NIL to like build them as well.
Right.
Because like these people are investing in them, and to be honest with you, you got abused for many years because you got kids making millions of dollars right now.
Yeah.
Like they have no clue what to even do with themselves.
No, they don't.
Right. Like they need financial management. They need like some maturity, and then on top of that, well, they need to still get an education. Sports will not always be there.
No.
What they're not teaching these kids is like, I'm sorry, but like use the Houston Rockets for example, right? Like Jalen Green and who's the other one? His high school teammate.
Not that kid Christopher.
Josh Christopher,
Well,
right? they had all this hype, right, and all this like Sports Illustrated and social media, and they were getting paid, and all of a sudden it's like, look at them in the NBA. It's kind of a joke. Like like NBA teams are now investing first round pick money to kids that don't even know how to play basketball,
and they end up crumbling later on anyway. But I mean, in this situation,
Jordan Sharp.
but in this situation here with Bronny, like he's not in a situation where he needs to really stay. I don't like his situation's unique, obviously, because he's LeBron James' son, and then everything around that. But I mean, overall, like I think development wise, he needs to. I think it would be in his best interest to stay around and you know stay around in USC and really become. I think that will help bring out his potential more rather than going to, on a G League team or sitting on the bench and just not doing anything, really contributing. And I think that would kind of falter his skill set. Like he really needs the right situation, and I don't like even back to like Austin Rivers is going off and saying that the right situation wouldn't be playing with his father. Maybe it would because his father knows his strengths and how to really use him on a team. But his father won't be there forever either. So like there's a small window of time there too. So all things considered, like it's not really. I mean, he's going to make a decision regardless. But where he chooses to end up going at the end of this year, it's going to be a big question mark.
Well, the whole thing is like, bro, he's got a 27.3 3-point percentage. He's got 37.2 field goal, and he's 65% from the free throw line. And
he's scoring like 6 points a game.
He's averaging 20 minutes a game and 14 games played. Yeah.
Right.
And those aren't even G League.
No, they're not. And I mean, he's playing on a team that's 9-13, with also a top recruit like Isaiah Collier. It's not. He doesn't have a set role either. I mean, I guess you would kind of put him at a 2-3, but also can handle the ball. So he needs to figure out what position he really wants to be. I think too. So there's a lot of question marks about Bronny, and it's gonna be interesting to see what he does because,
listen, if he stays at 6'4", right?
Yeah.
He's a one.
He would have
Not
to.
the one.
But I don't know if his skill set. I don't know if he has enough skill set to be the one.
Well, the whole thing. What are you asking out of point guards right now in the NBA? Right. You're a franchise. You want a ball dominant point guard, right? You want your ball dominant point guard to be a unique talent with Jason Kidd abilities,
right? But,
right. Where this kid, he knows the game,
right?
Right. He's got his father maybe with him in some shape or form, and if he can just dish the ball and give you like 15 a game, like 8 to 10 assists, a fantastic defense on whatever guard he's playing against because he has that athleticism.
Right.
I think he's got because he doesn't have to shoot the ball.
Right.
You're playing the one. You got the dude next to you at the 2 who's the shooter.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
know what I mean? You don't need the point, but you can build a team around a point guard who doesn't score.
You need to use his brain.
It's a lost art.
Yeah.
It fuck these other kids up who are coming in the league who don't understand basketball.
Right.
He's gonna play defense and use his athleticism, get to the rim or play defense. Like that is a art right now in the NBA. Is a point guard who knows the game. That's why these certain players, they're so valued because I'm not teaching you how to run an offense.
Yeah.
I'm not teaching you how to stand at the top of the key and either cut up, slide under. What defense are we? Do you know that you have support if we slip underneath? You know what I mean?
Right.
That you have a dude there? Or are we sitting in a defense where we're underneath the rim? These are things that I watch sporadically in games, and I'm just like, this is the problem with it.
Yeah.
There's the fundamental, and this kid, he has the fundamental.
I agree.
Right? It's just he needs to develop. That's it. He hasn't had the time. He hasn't had the playing time.
Time will tell.
Yes.
And we're back. And I have my friend, as many of y'all know. It is Joe Valo. And we are here. We are here to talk about childhood expectations with athletes and superstar athletes especially. But this spotlight will fall directly on Bronny James. So, Mr. Joe Valo, what do you think about Bronny James? What do you think his expectations are as an athlete and as son of LeBron James?
Expectations wise, I don't feel like he's got high expectations.
Really?
I feel like people don't expect him to be a superstar. Nobody wants their team to tank right now for Bronny James.
I mean, with all this like NIL money that he's making, like he's making $7 million in NIL. He's got a Nike deal for
You
$10
know
million.
why he's making that? We know why he's making it.
Why? Because of the name?
Because he's LeBron's son.
Because of the name.
Yeah. So I don't think his expectations are high.
Well, I mean, I think because of the name, there's expectations. You don't think?
Does anybody believe Bronny's going to be a superstar?
I think people want to believe that. I think people have this fantasy that if LeBron was this good, maybe that his son can be this good. But
See, I feel like it's the opposite way. I feel like it's he doesn't have too much high expectations of him, but people over criticize him because of his name. I don't think nobody's expecting him to be a superstar. People are like, oh, he sucks right now. LeBron was way better
you're right.
at that age. LeBron was the greatest high school player ever.
Right.
Nobody ever at that age was as good as LeBron. So for him to get penalized for not being anywhere close to as good as his dad was is ridiculous because nobody in the history of life was as close to as good as his dad was at that age.
No, very fair point.
And he took.
There's also things to consider here. I mean, his heart issue is a big problem, right? Like coming off of that, like Chris Bosh and Shaq's son, they couldn't overcome this heart issue for him to come back and doing what he's doing. It's pretty impressive. But also too, I mean, what's the rush? Like, why is there even a rush for him to even declare to the draft? Like, why can't he just like stay in college and develop and keep collecting money through NIL?
Who said he's declaring for the draft though?
I mean, but I don't know. That's what a lot of people are projecting, and maybe he's even thinking about it.
I mean,
I think the safest route for him would be stay in college and develop as a player.
or he can go and be in the G League. It's a difference.
I think there's a difference.
I don't think there's much of a difference anymore. Jalen Green, a lot of lottery picks come from the G League. The Thompson twins, Jalen Green, Scoot Henderson.
I agree, but this is also a different era where like the NIL is, the NIL is turning into this.
It's like I feel like he gets unfairly criticized. He's a freshman in college. There's a lot of one and dones in today's game, yeah, but there's a lot of guys that weren't one and dones that weren't that good as freshmen. But I think Bronny, I think he's fine. I think he's going to be an NBA player. At the worst, I feel like he'll at least get an opportunity. At the worst, he'll be like Aaron Holiday. But I do see him being able to have an NBA career.
I don't get me wrong. I think he'll definitely get a shot. For how long he plays in the NBA, I don't know. Unless he develops. I mean, like now he's like 6'4". We're probably looking. I mean, he's like, I don't know. He's a ball handling guard, I guess now. I think
staying off air. What's your expectations of him?
I think he'll be in the league for a couple years and then he'll find other ventures.
So the other day you said he wasn't going to make the league.
Well, I didn't. I said he wasn't going to get drafted. If he was to leave right now, he's not going to get drafted. I just don't think that. Unless a team that's like
At this time last year, he was a top 10 pick, and he's LeBron's son.
But then
just the fact that he's LeBron's son and used to be a projected top 10 pick, he's gonna get drafted.
I mean, that was before, but then this issues with his heart and even his play this year that made him drop out of the draft.
That's what I'm saying. But he's still LeBron's son.
Right, so and that holds a lot of merit because of the name.
But at the end of the day, he's 6'3", 6'4", 6'2", 6'3", 6'4".
Right.
He's very athletic.
Right.
He plays good defense.
Right. He needs to get better at shooting. That's his issue. He's not a good shooter.
A good shot. And he's got a good IQ for basketball.
Yes, that's what I was going to say too. I think if they're going to mold him into some type of guard, he might even have to go to play point guard.
He would be a lot of guards come in the league as twos, combo guards, and end up going to point guard.
Right.
I don't think Drew Holiday was a point guard coming in. I could be wrong, but I know Russell Westbrook wasn't. Right. I know Tyrese Maxey wasn't. A lot of these guys in college, it's not enough space, and in the NBA, there's way more space. So now they can be a point guard, a scoring point guard. I think he could be a starting point guard in the NBA.
I think over time with skills and everything development, yeah, Wise, yeah, I think he can. But he needs to get there though. I mean, he needs to show it. I mean, like I was talking to my one friend earlier. You gotta have the goods, man. If he doesn't have the goods, then what is it? You know what I mean? He's just somebody else out there with the
He
name.
has the,
He doesn't have the
what
goods.
what does he have that you wouldn't want in your NBA point guard? He's got athleticism. He's strong. He's got good IQ, and he can shoot. He just needs to get that mentality where it all starts clicking. But
Right.
he's got potential. People act like he's shitty.
Well, I mean, he's got to score more points. He's got to find a way to. He's got to get a knack of being able to score in tough spaces and have a knack to just take control. And that will take over time. That will it takes time to develop. But
What is the NBA? Does the NBA? How many times has the NBA not even drafted the leading scorer in college? The NBA drafts
lot.
off potential.
a lot. But I mean, like his college. I mean, his high school buddy that he's playing with now, Isaiah Collier. I mean, he's probably gonna be a lottery pick, and he really handles everything the right way. And he was better than LeBron James Jr. was in Sierra Canyon. So I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
like
didn't Bronny come off the bench?
yeah,
Did he start?
he comes off the bench right now.
No, I'm talking about last year, his senior year.
Nah, he started for Sierra Canyon.
See, and that's an elite school.
It is, but I mean, like,
It's like starting at Kentucky. You can sit on the bench at Kentucky and be a lottery pick because of potential. And
but that only happened with Devin Booker.
huh?
That only really happened with Devin Booker.
No, I think they got some other guys off the bench that got drafted.
I would have to say, but like the most
Yeah.
notable one that I remember is Devin Booker.
Yeah,
But
he was the best one.
But to wrap everything up here, only time will tell. Only time will tell what happens with Bronny. I do think this whole Austin Rivers thing that he came out and said that him playing with his father wouldn't be the best idea. I mean, maybe that's true. I don't know. I think Austin Rivers is a clown personally, but I mean, in the right situation, any player could flourish, and if he's put in the right situation, he will flourish. That's really what it comes down to. So you just gotta leave it at that. All right. And I'm back. And on this take, I'm not here to talk about sports. I'm here to talk about something else I watched. It was on Netflix. A lot of people are watching it. And me, even though, like I said, I'm not watching a lot of TV nowadays other than sports. But this, when I heard about this, it's something I had to watch. And I'm talking about Griselda. Yeah. So, where to start? Well, Rotten Tomatoes, who was very brutal in terms of criticizing stuff that's put out, in terms of viewership, gave this an 88, which is a very good score. And I saw ABC gave it an 85. IMBD gave it a 7.3 out of 10, but they're not really that important. None of these things are really important. What really matters is how you view and pick things up. And I really like this. And I have to give Sofia Vergara a lot of credit, and I'm not gonna lie, I have a big crush on her. But all things aside, I have to say I really liked what I watched. The whole Scarface vibe, it came back. Like the whole late 70s, early 80s, before the Cuban push and everything involved. It was pretty crazy. I really liked what I watched here. I did. It was one of those things I had to binge watch and watch straight through. But going back to the whole story of Griselda Blanco, she fled Medellin. She was part of the cartel. She ended up fleeing Medellin with her 3 sons at that time. And she went to Miami. Made things happen. Struggled at first, but made things happen. She really took matters in her own hands and really ran with it. Whether meeting through people or leveling up in the drug game and everything, it was pretty crazy. Her Medellin life ended up coming back around full circle and trying to chase after her, and she was able to get by. Met more allies and friends along the way, and really created an empire in Miami, and started this whole drug trade in the United States, basically, which was pretty crazy. A lot of help along the way, but even with that help, she did things in her own terms. She always had plans and ideas, was innovative, and did things that a lot of men that controlled that type of business and game weren't really ready for, and really had them on their toes. Her ultimate demise was her crack addiction. I guess I would say it was a crack addiction. That came on later though. That came in later, as she started to lose herself in the power that she was in. The way things ended, she also had things end out on her own terms, as she was also on the run again. And I don't want to spoil too much, but overall, I liked it a lot. It gave me a Narcos feel to it. I always admired Miami's landscape, and seeing how Scarface is my favorite movie of all time, like, this definitely brought me back to that vibe and feel, and just like, it's kind of pre-Scarface, but to see where things lined up and to have everything in terms of resources and everything, it was pretty good. Things were graphic, but if you can't handle it, don't watch it. But overall, I have to give Sofia Vergara a lot of credit. Karol G was in there. I actually didn't know that, so I looked at the credits and everything. And overall, I mean, there's some faces that you recognize if you watch this type of stuff. But overall, I have to give this. It was definitely a good watch, and it definitely drew me in. I know it's going crazy right now, and Sofia Vergara did a great job. She produced it. She's one of the producers, and she, was the lead role, being Griselda. And, other than her funky makeup job to make herself look like Griselda, she did a really good job, and it really gave you that feel, especially, with cuando ellos están hablando en español y todo. It was really cool. Like I said, it's narco-esque level, and it really is up there, and I think, she really hit it out the park with this, so a lot of kudos. All right, we're back, and we're going to talk about another USC player. I don't know why, freaking USC the topic, but I'm going to talk about Caleb Williams and this upcoming draft, because I don't want to talk about the damn Super Bowl. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, well, I agree.
But we can talk about Caleb Williams. You think he's as good as advertised, G?
I have to say, question marks are bouncing up all over the place. I didn't get to watch him a lot.
Yeah.
But again, I'm a big eye test guy. I saw highlights. You can only tell so much from their highlights.
I agree.
I looked at his line from last year. Definitely regression. The team wasn't as good defensively, so
Horrible.
I don't know if that made him feel as though he had to score more points.
I agree.
I mean, last year was he 42 and 5, and I think this year was 30 and 5 touchdown to interception.
I saw those same numbers.
So he definitely, for whatever reason, took a step back. But then again, the team overall took a step back. You saw a lot of losses. Defense kept keeping the offense under pressure to score. I don't know if you see the Colorado game, but I didn't get to watch.
Yeah, I did. That was a cool game because of everything going into it. But
very entertaining, man.
I mean, they were like
entertaining.
They were like blowing them out, and then they come up. No, my bad.
No, go ahead.
No, I said they were blowing them out, and then they came back because like you said, the defense was just hard.
Vulnerable all year, and I think with that came pressure for Caleb to think that he had to press a little bit. I mean, he's listed at 6'1", I think I saw. Yeah. 218.
Yeah.
Something like that. So he's not at 6'5". So just in that alone, his numbers alone, it didn't pop off the page to me, man. From what I saw,
no.
It'll be interesting to see where it goes forward because they're talking about the Bears trading out of that first pick to Washington.
Yeah.
And somehow him going to Washington and them going with Fields or, I don't know, dropping back. I don't know how far they're going to drop back, whether they're still going to take a quarterback or not, because they still have to pay Fields at some point.
Right.
So I personally think Fields can play, whether he can be coached up or not. I mean, what's Eberflus? I remember we talked about Eberflus in the past.
Can you win with a guy named Eberflus? They gave him, I mean, they still think it somehow. They brought him back next year. He'll be there.
Unreal. I mean, like you said, is he getting coached up from the sideline? Nagy didn't help him.
No.
And I think, Eberflus, where's the coaching? Is that the difference? Is that what he... I want to say, from the eye test, I think Fields can play.
I do too. There's like a lot of flashes you see with Fields. And I personally, I'd rather take the chance with Fields than Caleb.
Totally agree. It's going to be... Because I'm looking at Caleb, and then too, it seems like there's a prima donna factor. I don't know if that's just the athletes of today.
Yeah, the youth. Right?
Youth, right? And you go to the NIL, so it's already sort of
his head's
getting
a
taste of what the next level is.
Yeah, for sure.
He now to have to go to the next level, and then I've heard stuff like him demanding things. I'm just wondering where his head is. You know what I mean?
I want ownership. I don't know if that's people in his ear, like his dad or something like.
Right.
But for to come out and say these outlandish things, I'm like, who are you to say this, buddy? You haven't done anything.
Right. He won the Heisman. Give him credit for that. And going into this season, I don't know if there was a pressure to try to win a second,
Right.
which is, Archie Griffin. I think he's the only one that did it.
Right.
So it's not something that happens. Very rare do they get to come back a second year, too. You know what I mean? So
No,
for him
for
to
sure.
be able to come back.
Yeah, he was even threatening. He felt like he had all this like power and leverage. Like, I can come back next year, and I don't need to go in the NFL draft. Like, no, buddy, we know where you're going. You don't have to play these cards. You know what I mean? Like, you're trying to pull all these strings. I think personally, with Washington now with their new coaching staff and Dan Quinn hiring Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury was with USC last year, so I mean, like, I think that match would work. But I mean, still, like you said, you gotta go out and play. You gotta go out and show it. Like, you know what I mean? But it seemed like with that, like, they got weapons ready. They got a good receiving core. They got some backs. Like, I think if they fix their defense with Quinn, I think they could be a formidable team if they get Caleb. But I mean, that'll be throwing out the whole Sam Howell project right out the window. So.
To me, Sam Howell was a project, but when it comes to turnover, that's just what comes with turnover.
Yeah.
A lot of times when it comes to coaches, players, I mean, that's what happens. Is that your guy?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I agree. Even like with Drake May coming out too, like he could be another one that could end up being.
He's a wild card,
He's
right?
a wild
They
card,
talk about this Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, true.
That's the guy from LSU.
Yeah, he's the one that won the Heisman. So all things
right.
considered, all these quarterbacks will be compared and put under a microscope in comparison with each other. I think.
A lot of times when you hear about the percentage of these guys taking in the first round, you get a lot of duds.
Yeah.
A lot of duds.
A lot of duds.
You know what I mean? So, it doesn't translate to the next level. So it's going to be interesting to see. These guys have the goods, Joe. Do they have the goods? It's one thing to have the name. It's one thing that, the highlights on ESPN.
Right.
But you're playing against the level of talent that's college, and it is what it is.
Right.
When you take it to the next level, all these guys are the best.
Right.
So,
all the throws are tighter, all the gaps. Like it's even calling plays and stuff. Like the audibles, it's different, bro. It's different. They're looking for, they're looking to see if you did your homework. Like,
But at the same token, what you brought up about the relationship between him and
Kingsbury
could be crucial. I mean,
yes.
The comfortability factor, could that help his game? That definitely could be a pivotal part to his success. I mean,
agree.
if you could have that guy go right with him to the next level, almost like not a babysitter, but he knows him from
from
the
USC
lower level
yes.
to the next level. That would be a huge part to have that comfortability factor for Williams.
For sure. I mean, it definitely gives him an advantage if he had that compared to somebody that he doesn't just like walking in blank with a freaking here's the playbook. So we'll see. Overall, I mean, I think personally his best situation would be to get drafted. If Washington traded up or did some type of deal with the Bears, I think that would be the best bet for Caleb. But I don't know, if the Bears went sideways somehow, we're like, all right, well, actually, we'll take you. And then, we get rid of Fields or whatever. I think it's set up for disaster. I don't think it's going to work out for him.
Just seems like the Bears traditionally have been a dumpster fire for years now, and they seem to be just in that hamster wheel of not getting it done.
No,
just
they're not.
Running, so.
They mess with Trubisky. I mean, could they, take another risk and take a QB at
But
one or
then
two?
again, another player who got no coaching. I mean, I'm not a Nagy guy. I felt like Trubisky showed flashes.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day,
He just gave up
what
on him.
kind of help was he getting?
Right. The confidence in him, it was not there. And then his confidence on the field just went away, just evaporated.
Showed, right, exactly. So I think they played the Saints in a playoff game where Trubisky made a throw early in the game, threw a bomb, hit the guy in the hands and dropped it. Now, he could have scored a touchdown there, would have changed the whole complexion of that game.
Yep.
And Trubisky put it on him. I mean, Trubisky had a winning record with Chicago.
Yes, he did. Yes, he
So
did. Made a Pro Bowl.
So he won games. And the
Yes.
bottom line in the NFL is to win games.
It
And
is.
with that being said, what kind of help are these guys getting from the sideline? To me, they say in NFL on pro football, coaching is crucial.
It is.
So
it is. I don't think
these
it's
guys
set
have to be
enough.
coached up.
I agree 1,000%. I don't think it's set enough. And if you're put in a bad situation where you can't succeed, you falter, you crumble, and then you turn into what you are now, right? So
Not much you can do, man.
No.
You're helpless, seriously.
it is for sure. But I mean, it's interesting to see what they're gonna do with Caleb, man. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how things turn out. Okay, and now to wrap things up here, we are gonna talk about another USC product. Is Caleb Williams as good as advertised, Joe?
I think so.
You think so? You think Caleb Williams is that great of a prospect?
Yeah, he's the best quarterback I can remember coming out of college.
Easy now. Easy.
He's the best
He's better than Joe
quarterback
Burrow.
that in my lifetime, I would draft Caleb Williams #1 over any prospect that I've seen. number one over anybody in the last 20 years.
Well, what helps make him be that? Is it the offense that he plays in? I mean, we get it in terms of like skill set. Yeah, he can throw the ball, he can run it a little bit, like. But in terms of like the way things break down in front of him, it's because of the way the offense is broken down. It's an air raid offense where they spread out everybody and move the ball around. And I think if he's not put in the right situation, I think if Chicago was to be crazy enough to draft him at number one, which I think would be stupid, I think they'll trade back and have some other team do that.
They are going to get him number one. They're not passing him up.
I think they will pass him up. I think they'll keep. This is just what I think will happen. I think they will trade back. I think they'll actually end up trading with Washington. I think Washington will be the team that ends up swooping in and taking him at number one. Yeah, he'll be the number one pick, but another team's going to pick him at number one. But like I was going to say, Washington's the best scenario for him because Cliff Kingsbury is there. Cliff Kingsbury was basically his offensive coordinator last year at USC. So like it makes sense for them to link up and have this continue. Washington has the receivers to run this type of air raid offense. They have running backs. They just need to fix their offensive line and stuff. And then Dan Quinn will handle their defense. And then that team could actually be back on the rise. But that's the only scenario where I feel like he could flourish right away. But
He flourished on the Bears.
because the Bears, like their offense is more right now is the way it's shaped up right now. Even though they just switched their offensive coordinator again. At least of last year, the way they ran plays, it's more based off runs and stuff, and that's not
Why?
his strength.
Why?
Because that's what they had. That's because of personnel. But like, if you put him on that team now, like other than DJ Moore and Cole Kmet, like who's he gonna give the ball to?
Cole Kmet is really good. DJ Moore is really good, and they got a top 5 pick.
I know, but I mean, well, that's what I'm saying. No, that other pick is actually I think the 9th pick now.
They
So-
got a top 10 pick.
But they need an offensive line. They need people to block for him. They need other things. I mean, personally, if I was the Bears, if I do trade back with Washington or another team, I would take Marvin Harrison and team him up with Justin Fields and have DJ Moore, and then I had everything else. And then later on,
Washington, who does he have to throw to? Terry McLaurin and who else?
Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, you got Logan Thomas.
That's like, it sounds pretty close to DJ Moore and Cole Kmet to me.
I think there's some more options. I just don't think they were used correctly though. But
I don't think DJ Moore was used correctly.
no, but I think Justin Fields can throw, and I think he can run it. I don't know. I think they should give him another chance. I know you're viewing Caleb in a light where
I think they do too. I don't think that they're gonna pass up on Caleb. I feel like if Washington's gonna get any QB and they're gonna trade for him, it's gonna be Justin Fields.
I don't think so. Because I don't think Caleb.
They're not gonna get is that they're gonna take him at number one.
I don't think Caleb wants to be in Chicago, bro. I don't think he wants to play there. I think he's gonna force the issue. If he talks that talk that he does, in terms of trying to like stake where he wants to be, I think he'll end up in Washington. Also, I believe he's from the area, so that might help too. But that didn't help out with Dwayne Haskins, so I don't know if that matters anymore.
You know what? The Bears aren't like the Chargers. Like, Chicago's not a bad place to play.
I mean, for quarterbacks, they never had a good quarterback.
Yeah, but they got a history. Like,
I mean, yeah, they had like one good year.
And you can write that off. That's like somebody going to the Jets and being a good quarterback. Like, thank goodness.
They need a savior, yeah.
They need a savior.
But I think the people in Chicago want Justin Fields. That's what I think. I don't know. I don't live out there. I'm not Tommy on the block over there, but
Personally, I wouldn't pass him up, bro. I think he's a generational talent. Like I said before, Justin Fields is really good. I'm not knocking Justin Fields. He's a good quarterback. He could be a Pro Bowler someday, probably.
But you think Caleb Williams is that special?
I think Caleb Williams, if not next year, 2 years from now, he'll be the second best quarterback in the league.
So you think he's a better prospect than Joe Burrow?
Oh yeah.
After Joe Burrow's Heisman year.
You're talking about. Hold on. You're talking about.
I'll go down the list.
You're talking about Caleb Williams' offense being predicated on all his weapons. Joe Burrow was on the best team ever.
Okay. That's a fair argument. I won't argue that. I mean, but you got
Caleb Williams, and I say, oh my God, I've never seen this type of shit before.
Yeah, but then
I watch Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers.
But what happened in that Notre Dame game? In that Notre Dame game, he looked like shit. And Notre Dame wasn't even really that good this year. So and he played the Pac-12 defenses that are absolutely horrible. I mean, other than like Oregon and like Washington, like those teams ended up routing USC anyway. Like most of his yards this year were from like trying to make comebacks or shootouts in games and stuff like that. Like, I mean, the year before I can give him that, but like this year I think they're kind of, I don't know, kind of lackluster numbers.
See, I feel like with college, you can't really you can look at wins and losses, but you can't really study it too much. Because look at Lamar Jackson, for example. His final year, his numbers weren't as good as his previous year where he won the Heisman, but he did develop a lot.
Right.
So, and Patrick Mahomes, look at Patrick Mahomes, right? Patrick Mahomes is probably the most talented quarterback we've ever seen. He had a few bad games in college to the point that he ended up going after Mitchell Trubisky.
Right.
And, so like, I'm not too worried about the fact that he lost those games or looked bad. Patrick Mahomes looked bad, and that's the reason he went to, what did he go, 10th?
Yeah.
And there was no reason he should have won 10th. If you look at him and look at skill set, he has everything that you would want. I don't understand how guys like him and Aaron Rodgers, like how the fuck did Aaron Rodgers drop to 20-something? When you watch that guy, he's got all the things that are like combine stuff. You know what I mean?
I agree. I mean, he actually looked better at the combine than Alex Smith, but I mean, the 49ers were just inanimate about taking Alex Smith over Aaron Rodgers. And in that draft, nobody really needed a quarterback. So that's why he dropped. And they didn't even need a quarterback, and they still ended up taking him anyway. But it worked out for them. And it worked out in a similar situation with Jordan Love. But overall,
when you watch Caleb Williams, who do you think of?
I don't know. I don't have a comparison yet.
When I watch him, it reminds me very similar of Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. But that's the only two people, and himself.
I guess the Aaron Rodgers comparisons I can say. But
he runs better than Patrick Mahomes. He runs better than Aaron Rodgers. When he's in the open field, I see him do some shit.
Barely, though. It's not like it's like amazingly. Like he can scoot a little bit, but he's not like,
I've seen him avoid tackles and score when I really thought he would slide or do some shit like that. Like,
I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. But overall, he will be the number one pick. There's no denying that. In terms of skill set, yeah. But in terms of being generational, we'll have to see. We will.
Is he a top 5 prospect ever to you? In our lifetime?
I would have to really look at a list of prospects. But
Just think about Lawrence was supposed to be generational.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if he really beat these, if he was in a national championship or something, then yeah, I would say that. But he's not really a winner. He's not. Like, that really matters.
But that just drops draft stock.
What, winning?
No, losing. When it shouldn't really, like if you're on a shitty team, you're not gonna win.
Well, his team.
If you're a team in college, sometimes.
Yeah, but overall, his team.
Talent, but
his
it's
team.
not a good team.
His team was bad this year. It was.
That's
But I mean,
saying.
his team also won the bowl game without him, soundly, against a good Louisville team. Just saying. So I don't know. We'll see. I really don't know. But we got to wrap things up. All right.
For the year.
Rookie of the year. Roy, he's gonna be the Roy. He probably will be. I mean, if there was a betting man out there, I think there's gonna be a lot of people that bet him.
Yeah, I think he'll win it.
But we'll see how things turn out. But that's how we gotta call it. We call it how we see it.